Hello, good afternoon. My name is Mike. In this video, we will talk about infrastructure as code. Infrastructure as code is using code to define and manage your infrastructure, either in cloud or on-premises. Infrastructure as code is about bringing software engineering principles and approaches into your infrastructure space. Instead of using manual process, which is prone to mistake, to deploy or update your infrastructure, you can use software to push your latest changes. Then we are going to talk about key concepts of infrastructure as code. Repeatable process. This is a set of actions that can be easily duplicated. Consistent environment. This means your production environment, quality assessment environment, they all look the same. Another component of infrastructure as code is ability to reuse the code for future deployment. Then we have another one, documented architecture. This means your entire infrastructure is well documented for easy troubleshooting. In this tutorial, we are going to use Terraform. We have multiple infrastructure as code tools, but in this video, we are going to work on Terraform because Terraform is vendor agnostic. That is, you can use it with any of the cloud provider, either AWS, Google, or Azure. We are going to discuss component, workflow, then we are going to install Terraform. When we are talking about Terraform core component, we mean executable, configuration file. The configuration file for Terraform is HCL, HashiCorp Configuration Language, which is similar to JSON, human readable code. We also have provider plugins. State data. State data is when you update or you deploy a new resources. In this video, we are going to perform some tasks. We are going to install Terraform, and we can easily get the installation of Terraform from this link. Then I will advise us that we should open a free AWS account. Then we are going to use a code editor. The code editor we are going to use in this video is Visual Studio Code. Then we are going to try out some exercise. When we are talking about Terraform, let's talk about these three concepts. Providers. This is the information about provider we want to use. For instance, in this video, we'll be using AWS, and Terraform will need our account information to access AWS. Resources. What type of resources do we want to provision? Do we want to provision a VM or a EC2 machine or update existing configuration? Then we talk about data sources. These are ways to query information provider from the provider. This is also associated with provider. Then let us look at this diagram. In this diagram, after we write our code, infrastructure code, HCL code, or JSON file, we push it to our infrastructure, either in cloud or on-premises through the automation API. In this video, we are going to create a VPC in our AWS cloud. Inside then we are going to create a subnet. Inside the subnet, we'll be creating a EC2 Instant Nginx as our web server. Also, we are going to create security and routable group to allow our web traffic to that web server, that is HTTP traffic to our web server Nginx. Now, let's look at this HCL configuration. We have resource. The resource we want to deploy is AWS instance. And the object we are targeting is to be web server. Now, we have the name as web server. The information about web server, we are also putting it in this block, like the size and the volume. Now, let's look at the Terraform object reference. Resource type dot name label dot attribute, and the attribute we are targeting here is name. This name, the name label is the web server, and the resource type is AWS instance. Now, in Terraform workflow, we have something we call Terraform init. This initiates provider plugins, for instance AWS or Azure, by downloading all necessary plugins and create state data file. Terraform plan. This print out your changes to see what you want to deploy or modify. It compares your intended changes with your state data. Terraform apply. This will create your resource or modify it. Terraform destroy. This is very dangerous in live production environment. Please be careful. Now, we are going to make our hand dirty. We are going to work on Terraform. The next thing we are going to do now is to download Terraform onto our local machine from HashiCorp website. There are multiple operating systems that can work with Terraform, but in this video we are going to use Linux, and we have some steps to follow. The first step is to download Terraform. Then we check the version we'll be using on our local machine. I've already downloaded Terraform to my local machine, and the first thing we are going to do now is to check the version we are running. We paste it here. The version we have on our local machine is 1.36. When we look at the Terraform HashiCorp website, the latest version is 1.36. Then we are going to follow some other step. We are going to make a directory. We call it Terraform. We are going to do that on our local machine. We press enter. We go back to the step. Then we cd into the new folder that we have just created. We are there. Then the next step is we are going to clone this. I'm going to provide this information in this video. This is the public repo where our Terraform project is located. Yeah, we clone it. Now that we have cloned it, we can check it. We have it here. Now, the next step is to create a new folder called Project 1 in our Visual Studio Code. Let's open our Visual Studio Code. Now that we have opened our Visual Studio Code, what we are going to do now is we are going to create a new folder. We call it project _1. We have it, and the next thing we are going to do now is to copy the content from mic_web to this project. We go to our Visual Studio. and we copy this and we paste it here. Now the next step is we cd to my Terraform, because this is where main.tf is located. Main.tf is the main repository where we can find our Terraform code. Then we are going to open our terminal. This is our terminal. And now what we are going to do now is we are going to cd into this my Terraform. Cd my Terraform. And the next thing we are going to do now is this. We now cd to this. We have it. Now, let us look at the next step. This is the next step, Terraform init. Now, let's go back to our Visual Studio Code. Now, when we look at this main.tf, let us look at the code. This is the information about the provider. Our provider here is AWS. And the information on our account is here, the access key and secret key. This is hard-coded code, but in the next video, we are going to learn how to use environment variable to store our secret key. In real life, this is very dangerous. Don't do this. The next video, we are going to learn how to use environment variable to store our secret key. Now, we go to the next information, data. This is the data about the Linux machine we want to create. Then the resources, the VPC, the CIDR block, we are enabling the host names to be true. The internet gateway that will make it possible to access our VPC through the internet. Then the subnet, we are going to create another subnet 1. Then route table association. We also have the security group that we are creating, outbound and inbound. Then this is the instance we'll be creating. As I've said earlier, this training requires basic understanding of AWS. Now, let's go back to the step we are following. Now, the next thing we are going to do now is to copy this Terraform init. Now, we copy and paste it here, and we click enter. This will initialize our local machine to work with Terraform backend. It's going to take a few minutes. Yeah, I think it is done. Now that this is done, now the next thing now we are going to do now is, let's go back to the step. Our steps say we create Terraform plan. This means the project you are working on. What is the plan? What do you plan? What is your intention of creating the project? Click and paste this one here. Terraform plan. That is, it's going to save this output, save the content of this project and save it here. Now, when we look at this here, it's telling us that line 5, right? The line 5 AWS, when we look at our code, that this is the line. That is, we are missing some authorization and authentication information. Now, let's go to our code once again. let's go to our editor. The access key, we copy it here. Let's go back to this here. Now we put on our put it here. We paste it. Then we also go and copy our secret key. Please don't do this in real life. The next video, we are going to learn how to use environment variable to store our secret code. I will copy this one. We go back to, we paste it here. We save it. Now, let's run our code again. Now, it's telling us that we have 7 new items to be added to our plan. Now, then the next thing, when we look at the project file here, this is the project we'll be working on. Now, the next thing we are going to do now is we go to our step and Terraform apply. Now, regarding the information for the AWS, you can go to your AWS dashboard to extract the information. Now, the next step we are going to do now is to create our project. We're going to create our project and paste apply project. We click enter. It's going to create the resources in AWS. Now, if we go to our AWS dashboard, this is our AWS EC2 instances. When we open it, see, no instances is running because our resources is still in a creation status. It's still running. Now that our resources have been created, new resources 7 added, let's go back to our AWS dashboard and refresh. Yeah, we have instances running here. Let's open it. Now, this is the public DNS for it. Let's copy it and let us open a browser. In the browser, let's paste it here. And what you have, congratulations, you did it. Have a tackle. Then the next thing we are going to do now is this. We are going to run Terraform destroy. Please, I will advise you to not do this in real life. Terraform destroy. I will advise you, don't do this in real life. We copy this one and we go back to our Visual Studio Code. I will paste it here and we click enter. We are going to do it again because it's expecting us to enter yes here. Now, because if you do not do that, it's going to cost you some money. You put yes and click enter. Let's go back to our AWS. You can also delete it from the dashboard, whatever it is convenient for you. We don't have it here. It is gone. In the next video, we are going to learn on how to use environment variable to store our secret code. Thank you.